Hello and good evening, listeners. It is Sunday, and I'm excited. 8 p.m. You're listening live, so interact. I really want you to interact. This is the whole point of me doing this live. Is I want your comments, I want your insights, your viewpoints. What we're going to talk about tonight. I find that there's a lot of different perspectives out there, and I think it's so important that I get to learn from you. Well, maybe you learned something from us. So tonight is my one and only consecutive guest that I keep bringing back, and there's a particular purpose because it correlates. I'm making sure each of these steps correlate with the months, and this one right in here in the nick of time. Steps 6 and 7. Back to the basics. Jason B is back. Hello, Jason. Do you want to say hello to the listeners again?
Hi. That's all I got. Thank you.
I'm so glad that you're back in town and this worked out. Otherwise, we just would have had to trickle in a little late, but that's okay. Okay, so Jason, I'm guessing you did not read the post.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I also had I had a lot going on today, but I'll read you so you know what the listeners are expecting tonight. Jason B of Back to the Basics is back to break down steps 6 and 7. And what I wrote is, I found this great other website. I like new information as well as the Back to Basics, but it says, the humility to surrender control and rely upon a power greater than oneself to remove our shortcomings is essential to step 7, but this needs to be combined with a willingness to take action in order to allow the process to happen. That is 6. So I remember in my many years of going through these steps, 6 and 7, I never could decipher which was what. I kind of had a general idea. Mostly I skimmed right on over them. And I realized that was probably a key factor of why when I went to do my amends, and they didn't just necessarily go well, or they went awry, or they were epic fails, I didn't have the knowledge and I hadn't internalized 6 and 7. So we're going to explain what 6 and 7 is, back to basics style, but also, why they're so important and essential. You think they're important, Jason?
Oh, yeah. And like you said, everybody likes to just whip through these ones, skim over them. And really, step 6 sounds so easy. We're entirely ready, but it's the willingness to be entirely ready to let all that stuff go. And a lot of us, and we'll talk about it, but many of us hold on to things that we think we don't really want to let them go necessarily. We don't think they're important. Has nothing to do with our alcoholism, addiction, whatever. And it's so not true. And just like Bridge said, when it comes time to do amends, well, we have some glaring defects that we're not willing to get rid of. So, but that's what we'll talk about.
Yes, and I'm really excited too. Actually, before we get into it, and we will get right into it, I want to play this amazing clip. Sandy B, okay? He's a well-known person. There's this book called Drop the Rock, right? And a lot of people, and I have not read this book, okay? But I heard this Sandy B's, I'm going to play a little clip of it, and I'll share the full. I encourage everyone to listen to this full, his sharing his speaking, because he's hilarious, first of all. But, I mean, literally almost everything he says, I connected with on so many levels. And this is a person that, I don't even know how long ago this was. I mean, I want to say 40, 50 years ago. But anyway, this clip really just talks about what you just touched on. Holding on to those our ways of doing things. I know for me that was a struggle. It was a lot about trust. It was a lot about, I don't know if I could believe these things work, and I'll do it. Take your suggestions, but kind of flip them into my own way. So, Drop the Rock, Sandy B. If you go on YouTube, there's a fantastic. I'm gonna just play the little tiny clip, but I want everybody to listen to the full thing later on. But this is what this whole book title is, and the main whole concept for me when I see a newcomer coming in. We're going through the steps, and there's hesitations, there's pushback, and this is why. Here we go. Are you ready, Jason?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Do it.
Right? Enjoy. All you have to do if you turn your life over to God and get rid of all of your old ideas. That's all we ask. That's all we ask that you do. When I heard about turning over all my old ideas, I realize now that all of my old ideas was my whole game plan for living. My whole plan, everything, every conviction, every attitude, every prejudice, everything that I had about the world are my ideas, and it was like carrying around a 150-pound rock. But it was my rock. It was mine. I put this thing together. This was the real me, was this rock. And I came in here, and it was like I was in the ocean of alcoholism, and AA threw me a life preserver. And I'm hanging on to that rock. I'm not going to let that thing go. This is my rock. And they're yelling out there, drop the rock. No, man. I can't drop the rock. I'm hanging on to the life preserver, and the boat's going along, and I'm going under with the rock and hanging on. Thing, and they're going, hey, drop the rock out there. It was down under, and everybody's going, it's great up here, come on up. I said, how do I get up there? They said, drop the rock. And I got there. I don't want to drop the rock, it's mine. And so finally one day, I don't know, something terrible happened. It took my attention away and I dropped it. And I was terrified. There goes my rock. And while I was looking down there, I was like a water skier. I came up on the top of the water, I'm going on, and I'm going, what the hell would I want that rock for anyway? And you know, that's it. Why we want to hold on to those old ideas with a death grip, I'll never know. It's one of the paradoxes in AA. And so if you're new, I hope this happens to you, and I want to be sitting out there next year, the year after that, whenever it takes place, because this is how I'll know about God even more. I want to be out there when you, some new person out there, standing up here, and you got that sparkle in your eye, and you got that whole vitality going about Alcoholics Anonymous, and you're looking at some new guy saying, drop the rock, it's the greatest. Thank you.
Oh, I love that. So, and that is such a great analogy. So, just to explain in case anybody just came in late, what's wonderful is he's explaining, like, AA is this life preserver, right? We're the boat. We're like the boat of lifeguards coming over to save you, right? Because you're drowning in your isms, and we're trying to give you suggestions and take you through these steps. However, you're holding on to this heavy ass rock, and so we can't pull you into the boat to keep you from drowning. And so, yes, the whole drop the rock is let go, surrender, get rid of that heavy burden, your way of doing things, and give this a shot. Who knows? It might save your life. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So, Jason, take it away. Step 6.
All right. Well, it's been years since I read the whole Drop the Rock, but that is one of the greatest books. If you don't have it, I recommend checking that out. But really, what it said, the gist of it is just what he just said right now. And like I said before, we have to be entirely ready to get rid of all these defects, right? We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Well, this rock that we are carrying around, like he's saying, it's my rock. We put together this rock, basically. It's like our self-made rock. But what's happened also is that we don't even recognize these defects of character because they're our MO. That's our modus operandi, We operate this way for survival, and in our addiction, our selfishness, those are our familiar patterns, and we're not even aware sometimes of what they are. And that's why 4 and 5 is beautiful. And like I always say, honesty, open-mindedness, willingness, those are indispensable, like it says in the big book, and it's so true. You have to be completely honest. And if you do a fifth step with somebody that's going to be honest with you also, they might see things that you don't even recognize. And the thing about the sixth step is just like you were saying, you got to drop that rock, because those things that you think you need are what is dragging you down. And for me personally, this was a tough one, because willingness has got to be a big part of this step. I mean, it says we're entirely ready. Well, nobody can do this step perfect. Nobody can. We just strive to do it the very best that we can. And when willing to get rid of these things, they'll get better. Some of them will go away. The malady will start lifting from you even in this step. And the thing is, though, is that when we don't recognize those things that have become this rock, it's really hard to get or ask them to be removed if we don't even know what they are. And another thing in my experience is that, I don't really believe in the whole slip thing, because I start scheming long before it happens and subtly. And most of those subtle things that happen are my defects of character that I haven't recognized start coming into play, and I become restless and discontent, all that stuff. And I don't even realize that it's happening sometimes, but I do after a while. And then it's like, now I can catch myself. But for years, it would be, then I was off to the races again. But that willingness again to try to do this and we've identified some of these character defects in 4 and admitted them in 5. But now we have to be willing to we got to be entirely ready to do this and let go of those things that have been the survival, techniques that we've used for so long.
Yes, like a rock, me visually thinking, for me, it was like it was this wall that I had, protecting myself from being hurt, protecting myself from people, screwing me over. And what I later realized is these were things that now that I'm in this place of, healing and finally into who I am as a person, it's a hindrance. And what I like to point out, so there's this women's way through the 12 steps. And what I loved about, I just want to chime in on this difference, is that instead of saying defects of character, we can refer to them as defenses of character. Because for me, I didn't like hearing that I'm defective, right? Because I do. I mean, I've always just had this high, moral code. I've just always wanted to be a good person and live in the right. And so I never felt that it was like this character defect that, has been grown in me. It was more this defense mechanism, this wall that I used to protect myself. And when I heard that laid out, that was allowed me to be able to be more willing, right? And so when step 6 says get ready, change that word, make ready more willing, because like Jason said, it's never going to be perfect, okay? But just give it a go. Try, from the depth of your soul to let go and do the best that you can. But, for me, I try not to be a perfectionist, but I have really high expectations of myself. And when I finally realized, no, it's just to be willing to lay out those character defenses. And what I like about that is, especially when I get angry, or it really is this immediate defense mechanism that I have to protect myself from you seeing that I'm really actually hurt. I've been in confrontations where I'm angry and I'm crying at the person. How did you do? I'm so angry, but it's really because I'm so hurt. So for me to help to finally make 6 and 7 lock in, 6 for me is just 2 words: ready, defenses, or you could say defects. Ready, just get those ready. And I remember reading through this great meditation book, and I used to sit down and list all those every night. I was trying to be real. And I remember this great meditation book said something like, your higher power, right, whatever that is, your spirit guides or the great mystery, whatever, nature, the universe, already knows what those are, so you don't have to list them out. But when you review your day, looking at those things, that's all you need to do. You don't need to like list off why you're a crappy person all day. So my, daily or my nightly my check-in with myself is much quicker and more efficient, especially with practice and the willingness to do it every night. It takes a few minutes, if it's my regular days. Sometimes I have harder days, it takes longer. It's very useful, but it's so important not to skip through 6 and 7. And I remember hearing, because I like history, that Bill, originally 6 and 7 was one step, but he mindfully broke them up into 2 steps so that a person going through them take more time with them.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good summary of 6, don't you think, Eddie? And listeners, if you have questions or anything, somebody posted a Instagram thing. I don't know what that is. Okay, so listeners, though, if you have any other insights or any perspectives, I would love to hear them or questions. Go ahead and put them in that we're watching. And Jason, do you want to say anything else or move on to 7?
Well, I love that defenses of character, because just like Sandy was saying, it's my rock. And these are our defenses that we built up against this world that we think has wronged us. We're always the victim. Mm-hmm. Well, when we're willing to say, hey, I got to give this up, before we use that rock to beat people down, and we're brutal with this rock, because it's like, this is how I get by, this is how I retaliate and stuff. And I think that is also just as important to put that down as not drowning,
Yes.
But like you said, we don't, our higher power knows what they are. We just have to be willing and open and very honest. So, but that's all I got.
Well, somebody said just recently, reminded me of something like, well, to, really get into this program, to do all the things, you just have to, make changes and basically change everything. Everything about your life. And, well, in reality, I like the concept of that, because really my own ideas, my way, my rock wasn't working for a reason. So I got to just let it go. If I need to, I could find that rock again if I really want it. But to be open. And for me, also, just hearing you talk, I think about my perspective it was more like, and it was so bad because it would just make me shy, be scared of people and be by myself. But it was like this immediate not letting people in, because I don't, I want to make sure that I don't be too vulnerable. Well, and as a female, and I'm not trying to say that all females are like that, a lot of times I've been vulnerable, I've shared things, and they use it against me. And Brene Brown, she talks about, there's this great, it says, be vulnerable and make sure, you share your shame story, but she has 6 key people not to share your shame story with. That would have been great knowledge before we try to go through these processes, That's why it's important. It is important to have a sponsor or a sharing partner or someone that you fully trust, because if you're not going to do these steps with someone that you trust, it's really going to be, this is almost pointless, honestly. It's just going to be a cycle.
Yes. And a lot of us have been self-loathers, I just want to add. And, when we're entirely ready, we have to, a lot of us don't think we deserve the goodness, We have to be ready, to do this and be okay with goodness coming to us, because we freaking deserve this,
Yeah.
And you deserve it.
So I love that you said that. And that was a big struggle for me, as I didn't feel worthy of forgiveness. I felt that I deserved to be in misery because of my actions or because of past things. And that's always been a character defense, is that I don't feel like I'm worthy, or someone else takes precedence over me. They need it more or whatever. That's something I still struggle with.
Yes.
Okay. Great.
Cool.
Okay, should we get into, here's our alarm. I still have the funky, do you like it?
Okay.
It just makes me happy.
Yeah.
Okay, and that just means to remind us that we are interacting. It's crickets tonight, Jason, but that's okay. I know I just left a barbecue early. That was going to run late. I know a lot of people went out of town, but again, it's recorded, so I get to share this knowledge after. Okay, step 7. You want to get into that?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well, step 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. right away, just like Bridge said, at first this was all going to be one step, but to separate it was important, and I think is important in our steps. That's why they work so well. But here, we're humbly asked our higher power to remove our shortcomings. Well, shortcomings and defects of character are the same thing. So let's get that straight, because some people are confused by, oh, well, in the other one, we were ready to have them remove our defects of character. And this one says remove our shortcomings. Well, our shortcomings are defects of character, And now we were ready before, right? And we're willing to ask a higher power to, help us let those go. And now we're humbly asking our higher power to remove our shortcomings, our defects of character. The humility part, if you've been thorough in your steps up to this point, the humility thing is already there because you've done all those important things in step 4. And 5 is that really humbling thing. And this, when it says humbly ask him, it doesn't mean, oh, I was humiliated and now I'm going to ask my higher power to no, you're being humble. You don't have that vain, arrogant, selfish persona that you were as an addict. That's starting to go away, or you've asked it to go away. Mm-hmm. It might be diminishing, but this one's huge, and it walks hand in hand with step 3. Actually, it's a very important thing to do. And when you ask your higher power, it just will start happening if you're open-minded. Again, honesty, open-mindedness, willingness. Be super honest, be open-minded, and always willing. But yeah.
Okay, and with step 7, how the two words, so how I would separate it and remember it is another R word is remove, and then those shortcomings. And for me, that is just as simple as I'm not a perfect person, okay? I'm human, and I'm going to do these things. And I wasn't planning on talking about this, but now that you talked, I feel like I should share some aspect of this. Is I just remember being in such a dark place. I felt that, my higher power, I don't even deserve that love. I don't deserve that forgiveness. I was in just such a place where it was really dark. Thanks, Sally. That's my assistant speaker. I remember, though, someone laid it out. So let's say your higher power is like your parent, okay? So all I had to do was think of myself and my children, or it could be a niece or a nephew, or just someone, younger than you that's, still innocent. Anyway. And, but thinking of that, like, okay, so as a parent, if my child is like, I don't feel worthy of your forgiveness. See, it already makes me want to melt. I feel worthy of being accepted, or, oh my gosh, it makes me sad. See, that's all I have to do is flip that switch. Is your higher power loves you unconditionally. And for you to say, no, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I'm not worthy, is like a slap in the face. And it's heartbreaking for me to think of my child as really feeling that way. And as a parent, I would say, I created you, like I love you. There's you can do or can't do that I'm not going to try to support or be understanding or give you that second chance. And so I want you to forgive yourself. So it's like having these talks with myself that, and it took going through these steps multiple times, and like the willingness, just go through them. And it might not internalize or really, I didn't really believe it, that initial time through. But I promise you, well, for me, those promises, it really came true when I really believed it. And I would say it, and it would finally connect and make sense. So just flipping a couple words allowed me to make it understandable to me and believe it. And so I like humility. I looked that up, and it's humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. Did you love that?
Yeah, that's
I remember reading that the first time. I had to read it like 10 times. I don't get it. It's the same thing, but it's not.
That's so cool, and thanks for bringing that up. So I just had this discussion actually with somebody much worthier than I think I am. Who she doesn't think she's worthy of it. And the thing is she so is. And we were talking about how the fourth step, so they all tie together. So I'm going to get back into seventh here in just a second because it has everything to do with what I'm saying. But if we don't look at our assets also are supposed to be a part of step 4. We have to remember that we've done good things, and the good parts of us, let's let those shine. And why I'm saying that is sometimes we completely forget about that. We don't give ourselves any credit, and we're not willing to allow our Creator to give us that love, like Bridge was just saying, and your higher power wants the best for you, right? And so in the 7-step prayer, which we'll say in just a minute here, right? Mm-hmm. It's saying that, have all of me, good and bad. Always remember the good. A lot of us, like I said before, we're self-loathing type. We've hated ourselves for what we had become. But now we have to look at, we've been good people too, and we have to look at the good that we're doing now. Sometimes these selfish things that we do for ourselves, it comes back tenfold for the people around us, because now we can give out this love, and we're capable of doing it. And that's after we realize that we're worthy of receiving the love that we've been lacking or shutting out or walloping with this rock that we're carrying around, But yeah, I think I don't like the sound of my voice, so I'm going to have Bridge read the 7-step prayer.
Yeah, so like back to basics, the back to the basics for me again was really the key to me fully internalizing these steps. And it really, 17 years of not fully grasping this program, the book, and all that, back to basics is what was that aha moment. Oh, I can do them. And they don't have to be perfect. But yeah, so when you do the 4 1-hour sessions, the 7th step prayer goes like this: My Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect or defense of character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Amen. And namaste. And what I like about that too is really, I remember in those early few months, I just kept saying, when I really surrendered and let go, I just kept reminding myself, Creator, universe, I'm your vessel, okay? So it's like, for me, I already knew I was a shitty person and I did shitty things. I wasn't looking back. That was the only way I couldn't look back, was today in this present moment, I want to do what I'm meant to do. I know that I want to do good things and be a good mom and be a good sister and and so yeah, I'm here. I have the body. You just guide me and just tell me what to do. And as long as I knew it was the right thing, that's all I focused on. Sometimes minute to minute, hour to hour, that was my focus. Lovely. Okay. Any final thoughts on 6 or 7? Why do you think they're so crucial to really, I think for me, I think it's important that someone really understands them and starts practicing them before they jump into 8 and 9, I know everyone's excited to do 9 and just go out, do those amends, but 6 and 7 is like this backup plan, right? It's
Yes.
like when you're at home at the end of your day in your bed after whatever day you had, especially if you had some rough 9s, you got that 6 and 7 reinforcement. Does that would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, and the reason why, right on our card here that you can get at intergroup, any intergroup across the country, I've been finding.
Yes.
A lot of meetings open and close or use the 7th and the 3rd step prayer because they go hand in hand. They're super important, and by surrendering this power, you gain more. It's hard to explain, but like you said, Bridge, it's vital that we keep doing these. And I do it every day because I have to, and I got to turn it over. And the vessel thing, that's so important. We have to, I have to feel like that's what I am, because, me trying to do it, I'm not going to do it too good. I'm just not gonna. But when I turn it over, man, things go so much better. And, I feel like something else is working through me and I have taken myself out of the way. And just like bridge, like you were saying before, we go on to 8 and 9 and all this other stuff. And I've made this mistake in the past, and I've struggled in this program for years before. But I wouldn't do them in order because of my willfulness and stuff. But these have to be very strong, and you have to use them before you move on to 8. You should be really, really solid in this. 8 is easy, kind of, because we've kind of already done some of this. Before we move on is what I'm trying to say, like that 9th step thing. I mean, other people's well-being is at stake when you're going out there. And sometimes if you're not out of your selfishness yet, you're not really caring about other people's well-being. Well, do 6 and 7 nice and solid, and then you might be caring about other people's well-being, and you'll probably approach some of these amends that come later in a healthy way, rather than destroying things that could be beautiful, But yeah, that's great.
And at the end of the day, that's why it is so crucial to have one person. If you can get a phone list and have multiple people, it's so, you don't know what you don't know, So I wish I would have just saved myself a lot of heartache and trouble and just said, this is what I don't get about 6, or this is what I don't get about 7, or how could you make me understand this? Or, I'm doing this, I'm doing these things, but I really feel like I don't know if it's really what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, that's all I needed to ask was like, I don't know if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, It was like faking it till I made it. I didn't like that. So, but yes, practicing and really doing the things. And I like that, a lot of times when I'm suggesting things for women that I'm working with, it's so crucial to write it down, because talking about it, yes, it's very important to get it out, but writing it out, your brain processes things much different than when you type it out or text it or call or talk. When you sit and write it out, it's like your brain has to focus and fully engage in your thought. It's a beautiful thing. I've been writing a lot lately, Jason, so I didn't realize how powerful it is. It's like so immediately calming. But yes, and for me, the God word, here's the thing. I love religions. It's so weird. Okay, so I'm not religious, but I love all different religions. And as I'm studying different ones, and really right now I'm really with Buddhism. But it's all that same concept of this power greater than ourselves, whatever name you want to give it. And what I've really looked into is like, so God, for me, finally, just to accept the big book, or as it was I just made it a acronym for it, guide of direction, right? And what I liked too is, and Sandy B, oh yeah, that's another thing. I've been listening to his thing of multiple times. It's so funny. But he talks about how when he went in there, he's like, so when you talk about God, are you talking about the God? They're just like, all right, looky here. This is the power right here. I want you to focus on this power. It doesn't have to have this label or that label until you find your own.
Yes.
I love that they said that. Until you find your own power that's greater than yourself, go along with other ones. And like I said, in all different religions, I think what the problem is, with God is there's a lot of people that run around spending that name, but they're not living those things, and they're doing these, God's supposed to be love, and they're just very hypocritical jerks. So it gives it a bad name. But again, I had to make it my own. I had to make this program work and connect for me. And what I love about going through the steps with other people is hearing how it worked and connected with them. And I like to have going back and forth every time I go through it with someone, because I do get new insights.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. But that was pretty much my main point is, just again, the willingness. I'll tell you what, I made that. Oh, here we go, Jason. It makes you want to dance for a second.
Nice.
Okay. Ooh, it's hot seat time. But yeah, like at the end of the day, I do finally have that connection with my, the universe or a source or whatever. And it's a beautiful thing. And I am so open to, hearing everybody else's. But again, it's what I have a personal, strong connection with my greater purpose or what. But I do like the idea of, I've heard that it could be a doorknob, it could be is this a dog or, but I like the concept of sure it can, and especially when you're really struggling and it's your first rep through whatever works for you, okay. But really, at the end of the day, I like someone said it shouldn't be something you can kill, or that can die, because so that's something to think about. Someone said like their dog. Here's how I could make that work in my head. Because I overthink, is I love this saying. Split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift a stone, and you will find me. Right? God, your God of power, whatever. Is in everything and everywhere. It's not this tangible thing. So if it's a dog, just think that it is your dog. So, but if your dog passes away, where's your power gonna go then? In the cat or whatever? But just make sure that it's something. It's the soul. It's the spirit.
Chickpea.
Yes. Okay. You ready for the hot seat, Jason?
Yes.
I got sound effects. Here we go. Okay. Let me get the. So, the hot seat, I think I finally found... Ooh. Sally, could you turn on the speaker again for me? I found an actual sound effect that sounds real.
Ooh.
Okay. It took me... Well, how many months have I been doing this? This has been a grip. I found one that so far, every person that's heard it does not say, oh, that sounds like popcorn. Ooh, this sounds like crackling paper. It actually sounds like what it's meant to sound like. Oh, it helps if I grab the right technical gadget here. Here we go. Does that sound like fire?
Fire. Yeah.
That's fire, because it's the hot seat, Jason.
Nice.
Here we go. I'm so excited. Okay. We can stop now, Sally. Thank you. Okay. 3 hot and heavy, deeper questions. So bare your soul here. You ready? Just kidding.
Yeah. Here it goes.
Okay, Jason. Question number 1. Immediately, what's one character defect you might recognize in a person that you don't necessarily tolerate?
That is judgmentalism, because that's what I do. I'm a judge. I'm the judge, and I have to work on that all the time. And so when other people do it, of course, it annoys me, because we find that these things that we're criticizing in other people, turns out those are things we don't like about ourselves. So, but that and littering, I don't like it when people do that, man. I'll jump out of the car and like throw it back in their car, and I don't know, annoying.
Okay. This is beautiful because, Jason, we're going to go on the sidetrack here for a moment. So recycling for me is huge, right? Okay. I'm a big part, whatever. I hate it. I'll see kid bottles and cans in the garbage bin right next to the fucking recycling bin. Yeah. And I'm the weirdo that's taking through the garbage just to put it in there sometimes. Sometimes in a bad mood, I'm like, fuck this. Yeah. So what would you say? Because I just had a little dialogue with someone, and they're like, but it's a waste of time because 90% of that stuff in recycling it's just thrown away anyway because they don't separate it, or if something's dirty. And okay, let's just say even if that's true, okay. What my stance still is, I don't give a fuck about what isn't making it in. The point is, I want whatever to make it into the recycling, and so do it anyway. You walk 2 feet more that way or whatever. Yeah. What do you think about when someone says, but 90% of it being recycled is getting thrown away anyway? What would you say to that?
Well, they obviously don't give a whatever, but I don't know. Well, I don't know. You can't make them do it, right? But it's silly. Right. It's like, it's right there. Just do it anyway. Do it anyway. And if it don't make it there, it don't make it there. But make the effort.
At least
right?
you're trying.
Yeah, try.
Yeah, so this is the little things. Okay, well, you kind of already answered 2, but let's make it more personal, Jason. You ready?
Oh, no.
Question number 2. What character defect in yourself that you struggle with? Now, you mentioned that you're judgmental. Okay, so what's something when you meet a person, or maybe you've known them for a while, whatever, that you kind of start catching yourself judging on? And it doesn't have to be about recovery of the steps. It could just be everyday life things. I'm going to let you answer, and then just to be fair, I'll answer 2.
Okay. The one that I catch most is self-centeredness in a lot of people. And a lot of you are probably familiar with this because this is how it is, and this is for real. And I don't think I'm perfect in this regard at all, but I like to listen. But people are usually only listening as long, and they're thinking already of what they're going to reply with about me, 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 me. They're like Beaker from the Muppets, you know, me, 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 you know, and they're only listening, you know, they're only waiting for you to stop talking so they, you know what I mean?
Smart they are.
Yeah, and that self-centeredness, and then always, you know, topping your story, and always, you know, they don't even hear fully what you're saying because they're already running through in their mind what they want to say to you and how much it's, you know, that is probably the most annoying thing, and a lot of people, adults and children, are that way. And I know children that are much better at listening than some adults I know that just they can't help themselves but, you know, try to get a word in over you all the time. So that's the most annoying to me. Nobody, I shouldn't say that. A lot of people just aren't listening. But that's why I love AA. You start seeing people grow up and mature and actually listen, and they're curious, and they'll hear the whole story and then not try to top it, but try to, you know, see how they can relate to that, you know. But yeah, that's what I got.
And that is still a struggle for me sometimes, especially with when my hamster wheel's going ADHD, whatever you want to call it. And I read like Simple Steps. I don't know, this great book that just had simple, easy ways to just, you know, keep it simple. Yeah, it was like something, keep it simple. And I remember it said, okay, this is a little long for anybody, I think. It said, before you respond, you have to wait 7 seconds. So if you have to count 7 seconds in your head, that's a long time, because I was trying to do that. I'm like, that's just an awkward silence at that point.
Then they start talking.
Yes, and then they just keep going.
Yeah.
So at least I try never to ever cut off. Sometimes that happens, especially if I'm a little riled up.
Yeah.
But I also try to at least pause and really, you know, make sure that I heard the whole thing. But that's something they teach in my training is reflective listening. So really repeating back kind of what they said for me is how I do it, is like just to make sure I understood it, or just validating something that they said, even if I didn't agree with it, just recognizing, well, oh, I bet that must have been really hard, or that must have been overwhelming, whatever. It could have been something I did, you know, they were bitching that somebody that did this and that, and I could kind of see both sides of that story, but I put myself in their place, and if something like similar happened, I could see how that could make me feel this way. But yes, there's my favorite movie of all time, Fight Club. There's this scene where they're ending. They're holding each other, and they both are talking, and he goes, "Do you ever feel like when you're speaking with someone that they're not really listening?" And she finishes the sentence with, "Yep, that they're just waiting for their turn to talk."
Yeah.
And they're in this like terminal ill support group. The hilarious thing is both of them were terminal ill. They're just looking for connection.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie.
That's good.
But that is the truth. And so, would you say that you have a hard time? Saying that it's like, I don't know. You're great, actually. You're like the best person that I always push people to. Like, Jason's very open-minded. He actually listens to you. But I also say he ain't gonna put up with bullshit either. He will call you out in a nice way if you recognize something. So do you feel like you're pretty much like, do you ever have where you don't kind of zone out? There are people that it's hard. They also have ADHD. They're jumping from this to that to this to that. So it's hard for me to stay focused on all the things you're talking about. So I don't know. What do you do if your mind scatters? What do you do?
Oh man. Well, you know, I'm not perfect about it, but I actually do like to listen because I am curious and I want to know, and I'm working on that judgmental part, you know, and I'm usually trying not to judge a thing, but and I can be too nice sometimes. Sometimes that leads to more frustration when you're too nice, and so I'll miss an appointment because somebody just keeps talking and I don't want to cut them off because I'm trying to listen. Yeah, see, it cut me off. Freaking alarm. No, just kidding. But it made me happy. But yeah, my mind will start drifting when it's something that, you know, they keep repeating and it goes in circles, and I've got the point now. But they'll go on for another 10 minutes, and then I'll just be like, hey, look, I got to go.
Yeah, yes. Well, yeah, so that'll just save you from some reason. Oh, okay, so interactions. Facebook user says people seem to limit what they call God. Ooh, I like that. People seem to limit what they call God. And then it says that music makes me want to do aerobics. Yeah, it makes me want to roller skate, right?
Yeah.
I love that. Littering is the worst, yes. And it said, Facebook user says, at least try.
Yeah.
You know? And the best part is, I repeat this a lot since I've ever heard it, is fail early, right? Especially when you're going through this the first time. Fail early. Fail often, but fail forward, right?
Yeah.
So now, like for me, it's almost like I welcome any new challenge. And even if I buck up, first of all, I try to laugh at myself most of the time. But I know I'm going to learn something from it. What not to do again, you know? I'd rather people learn from my falling forward stuff than sit back and never step forward and change and grow. Okay, last question. Last question, Jason. Question number 3. Have you ever had a F it button moment, or have you had a F it button moment recently? Or what's the most recent one that you've had, and how did you handle it? So maybe you flew off the handle a little bit, and you weren't really living the steps. You you act out of character. That fuck it button moment. You had one recently, or what? If you can't think of one very recent, what's the most recent one, and how'd you handle that?
Okay, well, this is kind of funny because, I mean, I've had them. Yeah, it happens for sure. But K1, a guy just, man, he rode up on my ass. I'm at a yield sign. There's traffic coming. Yield means you yield to the traffic, that right? Okay, so this guy gets right up on my ass and just lays on his horn. And he just laid on it. And so I put my car in park. I got out and I went up to his window and I was just like, put my hands in my pockets. I'm like, let's go. Let's go right now, you know? And all this. And the guy, of course, was, you're poor. That was his, ouch. Oh, you hurt my feelings. Wow. You know, but it was like unbelievable. But I lost it. And the funny thing is someone from this club saw that interaction. I'm like, oh man, yeah, I did. I lost. He's like, oh, I thought you kept your cool. I'm like, no, I didn't. You know, that dude could have shot me or something. Yeah. But at points, I don't fucking care. You know, that's the fuck it button. And that's sad but yeah, you know, because people can suck sometimes. They really can. Yes. You know, but yeah, that happens.
Is that all you have, Jason? I don't think you realize this. You talked about this the last time on my podcast, because remember I shared with you that I had an F my car too.
Yeah.
See, so this just shows what a good person you are. That's all you got. Same thing.
Yes.
How long ago did that happen?
Oh, but man, yeah, that was a while ago. It was a while ago. That was like a couple years ago now. But still, I have those.
Years ago? Oh, that's
I think so, maybe.
Oh my gosh, I'm thinking a couple months ago.
No, but I've had other, we were just flipping people out on the road, bringing our son to camp today because whatever. But yeah, you know, nobody's going to be perfect in this program. And even some of the greatest guys I know in this, you know, there's a point. There's a point that you get to. I mean, maybe I lose my cool quicker than some or whatever, but you know, I try to put it in perspective and be chill, but man, that doesn't always work out so good.
Okay, and next week I'm going to share this article, 4 things why people in recovery are and better than, no, I'm just kidding.
No, they're not
but
better.
one of the things, and this is true, is this program allows me now for that big awareness piece.
Yeah.
And that, ooh, I hit the F button. Ooh, I did not act accordingly. I'm aware of it now. You know, before I just kind of pretend it didn't happen or whatever. Yeah. But also wanting to make that amends right away. You know, that's what the 10 is being able to, during the day, catch yourself and be like, ooh, I better correct this, apologize, or whatever, correct it. And that, I think, is what helps for me to continue to, you know, feel like a whole person.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. Wonderful. That wasn't so bad, right?
No, it wasn't. Nah, it's scary.
And, okay. Wonderful. Let's go into our last and my favorite segment these days, because it's like no matter what kind of week I've had or day I've had or guest you're always one of my favorite guests. The beeves, it just always brings joy to my life. So here we go. It is selfish, but selfishly selfish, because I mean no harm. All right, Jason, I think you're an open-minded person, but be brutally honest how you feel. So this session, I got sound effects. You remember this one. My daughter Juliet picked these out for me. So this last the segment is called Live Facebook Memes. And just like Facebook, and we're live, I'm going to flash you and the listeners now these memes that I've chosen throughout the week. And you're just going to react, whether it's thumbs up, hearts, laugh out loud. And then you're free to comment as well. And it's just so great to share some of these that I've just found very entertaining or inspiring or... I'll tell you, this week, though, there wasn't too many funny ones. I don't know. I think I was just in a dark... it was a rough week, my last week, but... I just like it.
Yeah, the X-Files.
Right? It just means, these memes might be a little scary or mysterious or weird, but it's going to be great. Okay, here we go. Okay, let me get this ready. I got to flash them to the listeners as you get to go through my phone. So first off, we won't be able to see the comments, but we will bring those back up. So for sure, comments, questions, feel free to put those back in there. But here we go. Meme number 1. Okay, Jason, hold on. So I'm going to let you see this on my phone so it's easier to see. If you can, there are a couple listeners I know for a fact that do actually have older phones and do not have visuals. So if you can just describe what we see here. Meme number 1. What is that? It looks like a stop sign, but it's not a full-size stop sign. It's a mini little stop sign.
Little tiny one. Yes, I like that.
And what does it say?
It says, when you're terrible at setting boundaries, but you're trying. I love it.
Do you ever struggle with that?
That's one of my hardest struggles, because with all the conflict in my life, it's like now I try to avoid conflict, but it usually bites me in the ass, because then it becomes a bigger thing that I got to deal with, where if I would have just been straight up at first, that can be bad. But yeah, that's me. The little stop. Oh, please stop. Until, they're not stopping. Then I'm like, fucking stop.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it's just me. I don't like to be a mean person. So I don't want them to feel like it's anything personal. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times I do the it's you, not me thing. But that's the facts, is like, this is where I want to help you, but I have to set limits so that I don't lose my shit to be able to help you if I can't even help myself.
Exactly.
Okay. Meme number 2 is just words. Go ahead and read that one right into the mic.
I wish I had the time for the nervous breakdown I deserve. Yeah. That's true, because you know what? Sometimes you've got to take care of everybody else all the time. You're always there for everybody, but you never take the time for yourself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and lucky for me, I've had a few heart attacks where you end up in the hospital and then they're taking care of you. That's kind of a nice little break.
Yeah. That's a required break, Jason.
Yeah.
And this last week has been like me.
Damn.
It's kind of almost good that I didn't have time to just flip my lid. But what I did was music is therapy. Mm-hmm. And I played a couple like metal or harder emo punk songs where they're screaming. And I'm screaming. But it works. Mm-hmm. But I didn't have a breakdown. But let me tell you. Okay. This one visually, on the left, you see strings, different colors, all in a weird tangled mess. And then on the right, the strings are separated by color. Go ahead and read and describe the left side.
It says, the more you feel your feelings, then it says, the easier it gets to understand them.
What do you think of that one?
That's true. I mean, a lot of us, we've repressed those feelings, or we don't even give them thought, because it's like, oh, I'm not supposed to feel like that. Mm-hmm. This isn't how we're supposed to feel. So we don't even recognize them. So we just mash them all together.
Yeah, it's anger.
And we never, that's in recovery. Then we start feeling these feelings, and it can be emotional because we're not used to those things.
Well, yeah, and my favorite Pam was like, Bridge, feel your feelings. Feel those feelings, girl. And I loved that. I felt my feelings for the first few months just crying or angry or whatever. But what I love about this little visual is, and therapy helped me a lot with this, is to be able to actually label those feelings. Because, yes, instinctively right away, especially when I'm feeling very emotional, could be a whole lot going on. But really sitting down and being like, ooh, what is this really going on here? Because I'm not a hateful person, but why do I hate this person? It's really looking at it's grief. I recently we lost someone again. Jason took his own life. Very, very, very tragic. And see, right now it makes me angry.
Yeah.
But that's because I'm really, really heartbroken. And it's all the grief. I'm very familiar with the grief recovery process. Immediately I want to, blame someone or take responsibility or the what ifs. But at the end of the day, I can't stress enough to everyone, you don't have to feel your feelings alone, okay? Call anyone that says, call me, reach out. If they don't answer, call someone else or go to a meeting, because you do not have to feel your feelings alone. And the best part, Pam, was she didn't know she opened a can of worms, but every time I went to a meeting, we would start the meeting holding the hands, and I'd start crying. But that's because I realize now that was because I finally felt like I could let down all my walls and really be myself. And that was so emotional for me. Okay.
Oh, and also when it shows all the emotions listed out, it just reminds me of how powerful fear a part of so many of our emotions, the anger and stuff. But anyway, that's what.
Oh, yes, love and fears, core emotions.
Quite.
Okay. Meme number 4. Have you ever seen Napoleon Dynamite?
Oh, yeah.
It's probably stupid to a lot of people. That's one of my top 10 favorite movies.
Yeah, oh, man.
It really is. It's great. If you've never seen Napoleon Dynamite. Anyway, this is the brother from Napoleon Dynamite, so in my head I'm already saying it in his voice. But go ahead and read what he's saying.
Just the bottom part?
Nope.
Oh, it says, we might not talk, but we react to each other's memes. Yeah. So I guess you could say things are getting pretty serious. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's funny.
And that's the thing is GIFs or memes. Like for me, texting is so freaking boring and annoying to me. So I always like to just sum everything up in a GIF.
Yeah.
And memes are my jam. And I have a couple friends. They know me, so it's okay to do that. I realized I've also started trying to online date Jason. I just don't recommend starting off with the memes or the gifts because they've scared some away.
Yeah.
But my friends that know me and just know that's part of my sense of humor. We'll have a couple of times now I've had meme full-on conversations through the whole day. Just back and forth. And we're basically trying to figure out what each other's saying, and it's just great. And then eventually we pick up the phone. Hey, so what's going on?
Exactly. And here I have a flip phone that doesn't get pictures or memes or GIFs. I don't know what a GIF is.
Oh,
But no, I do. I'm just
you're
kidding. But
missing out.
I'm not. I'm learning smoke signals and telegraph and Morse code.
When the zombie apocalypse happens?
Yes.
Yeah. But it's okay. Okay, The Simpsons. It's irrelevant that it is The Simpsons, but I do love Simpson memes. I draw to them like the light,
Yes.
from a bug to a light. Okay, what is this one? Read it and then read the checklist.
All right. Okay. I love The Simpsons. This is a good one. It says, me deciding what I'm going to be sad about today. And the first one, it says, my childhood, what does it say? Trauma, my bank account, my mental health, my weight, etc. See? And it's like, that's how we beat ourselves up. And, what do I need to feel bad about something today about myself?
Yes, let me just pick from this long list.
Yes.
And that's what's great is like, well, I know this program works because really I don't go into all the things. When people ask me, if they don't get I'm fine, which is fucked up, irrational, neurotic, and emotional. Right now I'm just focusing on one thing. But today, my poor friend Holly earlier didn't realize there's a lot of other things going on that I'm just sharing all over the place, but mountains of heavy shit. And so it was kind of nice because I was like, yeah, so there's a lot going on. I'm not just crazy on a daily basis for no reason, but they're not things that I'm handling alone. I just kind of spread them all around, you know what I'm saying? Like I got lawyers now and I got a detective. Like there's other things going on besides my housing issues. But I'm so happy to have this month off.
Nice.
Oh, It's not going to be a vacation, but definitely getting those back burner self-care things on the agenda. Okay, here's the next one. Ooh, it's just words.
Words between the lines of hate. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have a soul. Are a soul, you have a body. And C.S. Lewis said that, and he's one of my favorite authors, a total mystic and best friends with J.R. Tolkien, who wrote The Lord of the Rings. So, Chronicles of Narnia, C.S. Lewis. And
What do you think of that?
Oh, that's great. You don't have a soul. You are a soul. You have a body. In fact, I think of it this way, like the mystics, and like C.S. Lewis believes, and what he said in this was this, that we are not people thinking, we are thoughts peopling.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes.
At 100%. And I can't remember this movie, but it was cool because at first you're thinking the aliens would take it over, right? And their eyes turn blue. They take over our bodies and whatever. But it's really cool. It takes a total flip. I won't ruin it when I figure out. I'll tell you what the movie is next week. But what happened was it's these souls that are passing through different universes or planets or whatever. And what makes their eyes blue is, yes, that soul comes into, well, they were taking over our bodies because we're idiots. And so they were using us as vessels. But some of these souls had lived thousands of lives. And what's that other saying? We're not human beings living a spiritual life. We're spiritual beings living a human life. I think that's true.
All the same thing. Yeah.
You know, you hear the old soul thing, or I've had dreams of just like where I don't remember any of that, but I feel like there's been lives possibly. Who knows? I like thinking about those things, but this is accurate. Okay, to my weirdness. All right, Jason, next one.
And remember, if you need a higher power, pick energy, because energy cannot be created or destroyed, and it's everything. But whatever now. Okay, so this one says, I will ignore him all day so he knows I am mad. And he's sitting in his tractor or something. He's like, what a nice quiet day. Yeah.
Yes. That's just a dad one. And I just thought of that poor woman at the top. You know, that was me. I remember early on, I was married very young. And I'm not going to talk to him. He's going to just be missing me, not talking to him and communicating because he'd try. He'd be like, what, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. He's trying to conversation. I go days sometimes, not saying word, just show him I'm mad. And I realize now he was probably like,
Yeah.
But I'm sure eventually he was thinking, oh God, eventually it's gonna she'll be saying something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 2 more and then we're done. This is torture. This is just words.
Okay, it says, I've noticed people in recovery say, I love you a lot. I think it's because we know what it's like to feel unloved by ourselves. We know how important it is that our brothers and sisters never feel that way again. It's so true. And I grew up in that era where, that's like, oh, you're gay if you're, you're gay if you hug your friend and tell him you love him. But I'm way over that, It's like, man, come on, who cares? Now we need to hear that, and I love it. And I love you all.
Yes, and gay means happy. And yes, I liked this meme again because it reminds me, people sometimes look at me when I say, I love you. I just like ending phone conversations with, I love you. Or, because A, you never know if you're going to see them again. And B, I really mean it. I do love you. Like, I just have love for people in general. And C, this meme made it okay for me to just openly be weird again. Because I know I do get some looks sometimes like, wait, I don't hear I love you back. It's like, I'm okay. I'm thinking, it's okay. I know you love me anyway. You'll love me eventually.
It'll take a while.
And I realize with the people that say it to me too, they're not necessarily family or brothers and sisters. Like, well, they are my recovery family. When they don't say it, I'm like, oh, they having a bad day. They don't love me anymore.
No, I know some people have a stigma with that. So,
I got reprimanded at a job for that.
What?
Yes, I was at the stupid sales and marketing job. Well, actually, I was really good at it. But one of the things, the boss, he was making up some stuff, and he was like, and also the director of whatever I was the team, she found it uncomfortable. You said I love you to her. I was like, but I say I love you to everybody.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Whatever.
Last and final.
Okay, this one says, never ignore someone who loves and cares about you, because one day you may realize that you lost the moon while counting the stars. Nice, that's true.
And it makes me think of a bunch of things. First of all, with someone we lost this week. But mostly, I like the part that says that you may realize you lost the moon. Someone that's your front row
The
people.
brightest light.
Yes, you're close people. Like for me, that's my children. And while I'm counting the stars, I try to help everybody else with their lights and focus my time to helping service and all that. I gotta remember what's most important is that moon is my babies. Like I sit down and I make sure I give them my quality. Yes, I wean to help other people and do all that, but those stars wouldn't even fucking matter if that moon's gone. So those last words or whatever with somebody, it could be, something that is it. So make it positive and say I love you. I mean, this is a safe bet to go. But if I don't feel comfortable, like I can't say I love you for some reason, I like hugs. I'm a hugger. I've been questioning myself with that too. Is it professional or not professional? If it's just a hug, there's no weirdness with it. Yes, I'm going to hug you. And now I've just been saying, are you a hugger? That way I'm not uncomfortable. I know some people, and I get in moods too. Don't touch me. Especially if it's someone I know that's creepy. Anyway, okay, I'm going to jump back into the comments to see if there's any final words. Jason, 6, 7, the me, anything you want to final thoughts on?
6 and 7 are very important, and I recommend anybody just read. Grab the 12 by 12s are laying all over. You can pull it up on an app, on a phone. Read the 12 by 12. That's 12 steps and 12 traditions about 6 and 7, and they do a really nice summary of it. It's good to get back to some of those basic things that we've been. Oh, hey, back to the basics. But yeah, do it.
Okay, and I'm going to share this link, part of what I talked about. You go to 12stepphilosophy.org. I'm going to wrap it up with a couple things they said that I liked. It says, this action, we're talking 6 and 7 here again, takes the form of a persistent effort to practice the opposite of our defects of character. For example, in relation to honesty, we practice honesty. When feeling resentful, we practice forgiveness. In the case of fear, we practice courage and faith. In terms of our false pride, ego, and self-centeredness, we practice humility. And instead of being selfish, we practice kindness and love. Practicing these virtues with the help of and encouragement of the group and the 12 steps over time brings about change and moving towards wholeness and a more integrated and authentic self. And the one thing that, Jim Carrey, a lot of people know him as the comedian stuff. A lot of people bashed him because he went through severe depression. It is sickening to me because a lot of people are hating on him because, he's rich. And how does he have, had depression? So I've been actually listening. He's very, very powerful, wise person. Anyway, so one of the things that he said that's been one of those, I got to pass it around, tell everybody, can't keep what you have to give it away. He said, hope, I don't like hope. Hope is a beggar. And first I'm like, whoa, he's going to a dark place. And then he goes, hope walks through the fire, faith leaps over it. Ooh, that gave me goosebumps. Because faith is and hope is what I needed to pull me out of the dark place. Just a little bit of hope. So there's nothing against hope. But faith, when I finally found a faith in something, was really what I was really able to getting a light again and feeling lifted again. And again, in the beginning for me, it was that power in that meeting with those women. It was that power in that room. There was no, creator universe at first. It took me a while to get back to finding that place again. But faith leaps over it. I had to really think about that too, because in my mind, I'm like, ooh, hope went through the fire like a dummy. Well, I hope I don't get burned. Yeah. Faith is just like, I'm just not even going to go through that fire. I'm just going to leap right on over it, That's powerful. Okay, wrap it up. Let's see. Facebook user said, me. Ooh, I don't know what that is. Facebook user said, there's nothing in this world like the perfect meme or gift. Yes, Facebook user. Yes, we're probably besties. Oh, and Holly says, nice show, guys.
All right.
Okay. Well, that wraps it up. I think that was a good show. It's just nice bringing you back because I know if I mess up or for whatever reason can't remember, you got it covered. I don't even have to talk.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Thank you.
Well, that's 6 and 7, and then we got August and September to get into 8 and 9. Ooh, those are spicy. I can't wait for those ones. All right, everybody. I hope you've been enjoying summer. I hope you had a great week. I definitely want you to have a new great week, and we will check in Sunday, 1 week from today. Oh, I always forget the music. I always want to just hit end. So don't let me do that, Jason.
Nice.
Okay. You know, it's called Returning Home. If anybody wants to go on YouTube, it's a free, copyright-free music. Returning Home. It just sounds so pleasant and uplifting. Here we go. Good night, everybody.
Good night.